We're live.
Awesome.
Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I actually understood this chapter a little bit better. I actually really enjoyed it. What about you guys on ethics?
I did too.
Yeah, it was good. Have you guys taken the exam yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Nope, I have not.
Did you guys do as well as you thought you would, or worse, or?
Well, I didn't realize that we were supposed to complete chapter 4 before we take the exam.
No.
Oh.
So I think that's what made my, like, I still got a good grade, but I was hoping for better.
Oh no.
It's all good though.
I have a question about the exam.
Yeah.
Is it organized into chapters, kind of, or?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the start of it is like chapter 1 and stuff. Okay.
Well, it'll tell you, like it'll specifically say questions 1 through 11 are from chapter 1 or
that's
chapter
nice.
2. Yeah, so it gives you very specific.
Mhm.
I took the quiz and I got 1 wrong, so I thought I was going back to retake the quiz, and I actually opened up the test. And so all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, quick. So I didn't do as well as I had hoped. I still did all right, but I didn't do as well as I hoped.
That's frustrating. I'm so sorry.
But I'm done. That was the good thing. I got done sooner than I thought. I thought I would have a few more hours to study, but.
And the thing of it is too, is my husband keeps reminding me that if you go look for a job, or if, you know, whatever you want to do with your degree, it's not like they're going to go through your grades or your transcript.
Sure.
So I need to remind myself that, because
That
I always try hard.
that is a really good thing to remember.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you told us that and that your husband told you.
Yeah. Have to remind myself that.
Yeah, they're just going to look at GPA, so.
Yeah.
Too bad.
So what'd you guys think about the readings this week?
I really enjoyed it. Maybe that's just because it starts to put in perspective the studies that we're looking at. As we're reading through them, we can kind of see where the ethics kind of were headed. I think I really love the historical aspect of things that they brought out, of people that did not follow them in the past. I mean, there's some horrible things that people did, but to kind of see those and see how they've then adapted and changed to some of the system that we have now to kind of eliminate those types of problems.
Yeah, I think it's hard because ethics is such a controversial topic and stuff, because I think it is necessary to do some kind of inhumane things just to like learn about human behavior and nature, or even animals. And so I don't know, it's tough. I wouldn't want to be on like one of the boards that decides who does the experiments or if the research is okay to do. But I thought it was kind of interesting.
Well, and it's all based on perception. What someone may think is ethical or unethical, someone else may think it is ethical. And it's all in how we define it. So it's good that there's a board that has like a set of rules that say, you know, this is what we abide by, and this is what we believe, and this is the way it's supposed to be done. But the thing that I find interesting too is, and this is what I've always found hard with research, is that our studies is there's always contradiction, it seems like. And it makes you wonder if sometimes that contradiction that comes into play is because somebody's being unethical and maybe cheating on the, you know, the data, and I don't know, just makes you wonder.
Like fabricating something or changing something.
Mhm.
I think you're right. I think, it's, what was the example? There was an example in our reading of someone that had done that, and they went back after he had died.
Oh yeah, I remember.
After he died, yeah, they were kind of going through his work and trying to review it and see what was testable, and then they realized that he had fabricated so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine wanting to even be in that situation. I mean, he had died, but I can't imagine like being alive and it just seems better to be honest in those things than to come up in front of people and have them see all these things that you didn't do, especially if it was a study that prompted other studies. I mean, that in and of itself makes me nervous, where if somebody were to fabricate something in their study and then the millions of dollars that may go out to try and duplicate those studies, or if they did something in their study that like Catherine was saying, there are some things that you have to do that are a little bit unethical so that you can achieve the desired information. If those studies are fabricated and then somebody has to duplicate those studies, then you put a lot of people in just some unnecessary positions. That just seems so sad to even think about.
Well, that's why they have that graph, I think, to help them decide, does the unethical part outweigh the results or the knowledge that we're going to gain? So they have something to go by, when they make those decisions, which I think is good.
That's true.
The thing I thought was interesting about the reading the focus on ethics and everything is that it kind of, I'm taking the practicum right now, taking my practicum. And so it kind of like meshes well with it. Part of me thinks that, well, maybe I should have taken this class first and then taken the practicum. But at the same time, the practicums, we're learning, what we should and shouldn't do. And when we do our write-up at the very end, it has to be kind of step by step. So if somebody were to duplicate it, they could do it very easily.
Who's your teacher, Liza?
Sister Openshaw. Does she do practicum?
Because I am in practicum right now.
Who's your teacher, Tammy?
Buswell.
How do you guys feel about your teachers? I have to do that next semester, so I'm just...
Mine's tough. She doesn't believe in giving high grades. She has that reputation.
You just love those kind of teachers.
But I have to tell you, she is awesome. Yeah. She's really, really good.
Well, do you have the mastery or resubmit and stuff? So I think that's just all of the practicum
It's just
classes.
all around.
And so you have to just resubmit, just redo things and resubmit until you get that
Until you
master.
get what you need.
Yeah, and there's no A, B, C, D, or F. So it kind of, drives me crazy. What is my grade? What's my real grade? But
remember, we don't focus on that.
I know, but I do anyway.
I know, it's hard. What were you going to say, Catherine?
Oh, I was just going to say I have Openshaw for practicum right now.
Okay.
And
do you like Openshaw?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I like Tammy, who was it? John?
Yeah.
He was saying that the practicum is really, really tough. And so I guess I was just expecting it to be really hard and like a lot of work. So it meets my expectations. It's a lot of work. And you just hit the ground running with what you have to do.
I don't think it's tough as much as it's just a lot of work.
Busy.
Yeah.
Emily, have you taken it yet?
I'm taking it right now.
Who do you have?
Openshaw, just like them.
Oh, you do?
Okay.
I'm the odd man out.
Well, it's good information to know.
Yeah.
So
I think between all the instructors,
those two are the ones that
those two instructors were really recommended.
Okay, very good. You know, the thing that I thought was really interesting about the reading that we did is the fact that people didn't really mind the deception part of it as long as they were informed and as long as they understood, you know, that it was going towards the information gained. And I've seen that. I've seen that study where, you know, they've told the people that they're giving that electric shock to people on the other side. And then, so they get really nervous and they get really stressed out about the idea of giving this shock to people because they can hear the pain that the people are going through. And it turns out that they're not actually shocking anybody. It's just the people on the other side making, you know, noises to make them think.
A little morbid, I guess.
You see the stress of the person, but there are some people in the study where, I mean, they would actually, like, they would laugh and they would kind of get excited about shocking someone. And so you see their response and reaction. Then you see some people that stop really soon because they're like, I can't do this anymore. The idea of giving another human being that much pain just puts them on edge. And so, but you can see how, you know, you can't run that type of experiment if they had full disclosure. If they knew exactly what was going on, you wouldn't be able to have an accurate understanding of what their emotions are. And that was the whole basis of the study is to see when they will actually stop, or if they'll take it when they think that they're giving someone this full shock. But in the end, when they do start to tell them in the study, they do start to tell each one of the people that they didn't actually give a shock. The amount of relief of those people when they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad," you know. I thought that was an interesting part of this chapter, is understanding that deception, and then the whole need for that debriefing that needs to happen so that someone doesn't think that they're actually a horrible person if they were like, "Yeah, shock them." But
I think the study I had a problem with was the one where the lady went to the orphanage and she had the two sets of the kids, and she's totally ruined the one set of kids from her study. Like that one, I had a hard time reading about, and I just felt so horrible.
Right. And that's the one where there was a lot of information that came from it, yes. But that it's the question of whether or not it actually justified.
Right.
That was an interesting one.
Right.
Yeah, it made me think a lot about medical studies. It just slightly mentioned like cancer studies and things like that. But I just imagine, like, if I had something wrong medically with me and I went in there and they're like, well, we don't have, we don't know exactly how to treat it, but we're going to try all these things. I'm like, what? Like, I wouldn't want to be the experiment. And I don't know who would. Like,
well, you know, like what you're saying, Catherine, if somebody thought that they were getting a test for a new drug for cancer that might work, and then they find out later that they were actually in the placebo, so they didn't actually get the drug, that might be kind of the flip side to it, where they might be like, oh, this might be working, and then to have their hopes dashed because they weren't actually in the control group.
Yeah, or to get really adverse effects and like die or something.
Right.
Or like a heart attack. I don't know.
Have any of you guys been in any studies?
No.
Have you?
I have.
Which studies have you been in?
So I have a friend that's really big into studies. She even puts her kids in them to earn money. And so, isn't that bad? Anyway, so I was in a couple of weight loss studies back when I was trying to lose weight. And I mean, it was all right. I guess I was just in one of those with her. She wanted me to do it with her, so I did. And then, but my daughter, I mean, at the time she was 12. Because people, once you do a study, they have like your information. There's a place here in Salt Lake City that's called Lighthouse Research, and they find participants for these different studies. So once they have your information, they'll call you and say, do anyone in your household meet this criteria? And would they be interested in the study? And this one time they called, and my youngest, she met the criteria. And we just went in, she earned $50. And it was a $50 gift card, and I let her keep it. And she went and bought clothes with it. But she had to, it wasn't harmful anyway, but they were, those air things for people who have asthma.
Oh, yeah.
They had to figure out if it was user friendly for young kids. And so they asked her to do it or whatever. So, things like that. I was in a study group for the last 2 crickets that came out. But those aren't really it is, I guess, but
that's the kind of study I would like to be in. I don't know that I could do a medical study, but I'd like to be in that one.
The 2 crickets, yeah. So it's I had to keep my mouth shut on both of them. In fact, I don't know if the last one's even out yet. Anyway.
I remember. Why did you not like it?
No, I did. I just don't know if they've put it on market yet.
Actually, I just got it for my own Christmas present yesterday or 2 days ago.
Which is it? I don't want to divulge what it is, but what is it?
The Cricket Air 2, I think.
And what does it do?
It
cuts. What does it cut?
I'm not even sure because the one that I have is so old. It was on HSN. I'm trying to remember. But it just has a thing where you can actually specifically place the designs where you want them to cut.
Oh yeah.
So
there's a new one coming out.
Man, maybe I got the one I got too soon. Maybe there's another one that I need. Anyways, we'll have to talk about that later.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're kind of talking about studies and research, but yes, I have been in some.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's very cool because it's whenever we hear about studies, usually it's medical.
Yeah.
Right.
And scary.
Well, we did do the study for math.
That's true.
So you kind of get a little bit of that, and I see the stuff coming through on our email every so often that asks for people. I guess I did one study. It was just kind of a survey study. I've done a couple of surveys, but never an actual, where you have to go in and do anything other than answer questions.
And what do you guys think about the internet studies? How do you guys feel about that?
Thinking differently now that I've been through these classes and through the stuff in our math class, I've started to really think about how they're actually helping someone to learn. So I've been trying to take more opportunity to answer the questions, even though it may be time consuming, so that it's helping someone else. But I have to say, before I took all these classes, I probably would have been I don't have time. Sorry, and clicked it off.
With internet studies, I really like the diversity and the different demographics that it can get. I think it's important for them to ask, I don't know what region you're in or something like that. But I think it's really good because it's so much easier just for the scientists. So kudos for the internet.
I was thinking about when you guys were describing different studies. I was thinking, have any of you taken the Psych 201 class?
Yes. I'm in Psych 302 right now, and last semester I took 201.
I'm taking 201 and 302 this semester, and
both?
Yeah. I'm in the
What is the practicum?
Remind me of what the 201 class is, because all the psychology classes I took, other than this one, were taken at Utah State.
This one is lifespan.
Okay.
Oh, I did that one.
It's dreadful.
I mean, I guess technically it's called human growth and development, but it's basically lifespan. And they do, like, each week the teacher has these, like, weekly further research studies that we're supposed to read and analyze, or at least like give our assessment of what we think about the research. And a lot of it from our reading the textbook and stuff, I can like see certain things that I feel would, skew data or be flawed or things like that. And so it's really interesting to like read all these different things and how much when people are preparing a study, what they have to consider. And like this last one that we did this week, it was about IQ for infants and it being a predictor for future intelligence. And they were basing it off of habituation and recovery. I don't know if any of you are familiar with those terms. Yeah. So basically identifying novel things in the environment and how quickly they, in familiarity and stuff. But I just felt like, in my own personal opinion, I don't feel like that could be a predictor of future intelligence because there's just so many other variables or factors that play a part in it. And so it's like, the extraneous variables that they talk about, like there's just those different things that you have to really consider. So it was just really interesting.
That would be an interesting study because there are a lot of people that I know of that, as youngsters have some type of developmental delay, and they actually turn out to be very, very intelligent adults. So I don't know how. I mean, that would be interesting to see what the markers are that they use. Do you remind me asking what was the age range that they used?
Let me pull it open real quick because I have notes on it.
Yeah, I think it definitely, like, they can do an IQ intelligent test, but intelligence is so general as well. Like, one person that can be super intelligent with music can have no social skills, or everyone has their different talents, and so even those IQ tests, I don't really agree with.
I agree with that. The test itself depends on what are they really looking at to show what that intelligence is, or maybe in the future, maybe testing a specific criteria, but may not actually be testing what that child is going to excel at.
Well, and that's the one thing that I learned in my practicum class when we were doing a write-up, was that research studies don't ever prove anything, because we made the mistake of using the word prove. And she said they don't ever prove anything, they just show. So they show results, but a lot of times it's like a headway, or it leads into another research study because of those results. So it's like this vicious circle, and you're just continually doing research after research on the same stuff because you're always learning stuff and you're building upon the one before. You know what I mean?
And people will go back and test that theory with either to try and prove it, or try to get similar results. And they may find something completely different in what they had. It kind of goes back to, I know we kind of got off on a tangent last time. Tammy and I were talking about this talk by Elder Oaks, where he talks about reasoning and revelation. And he kind of, the thing that I liked about that is that, he's talking about reasoning and the revelation, but to really get absolute truth, you have to go through the Lord. And he can reveal those truths as we are gaining understanding in our classes. But it's interesting to me. It's always interesting to me how science is what I feel like the world uses to try and explain the things that Heavenly Father has done. And they will never have a perfect understanding because they're relying so much on their own reasoning. But science is constantly changing in their understanding because they are looking more at what men understand and not so much where the Lord understands.
Did you find those ages, Emily?
I did. So it's 7 months to 21 years. So they did a longitudinal study, but so it basically says, if you all, it's very brief. So if you don't mind me sharing, it says, as noted in the text, habituation and recovery to visual stimuli are among the earliest available predictors of intelligence in childhood, adolescence, and young adulthood. In one longitudinal study, Fagan, Holland, and Wheeler followed 61 participants from age 7 months to 21 years to determine if attention to novelty in infancy predicts later IQ and educational attainment. The researchers collected the following information. 1, when participants were 7 months old, they were presented with a series of novelty problems. For each problem, infants were presented with a picture, for example, a baby's face, until their looking declined. They were then shown the picture again, but this time it appeared alongside a new picture, for example, a bald-headed man. The researchers were interested in the amount of time it took participants to habituate and recover to the novel stimuli. 2, when participants were 3 years old, they were given an intelligence test. Number 3, when participants were 21 years old, they completed another intelligence test. Educational attainment was assessed by computing the number of years of schooling each participant completed. Results indicate a modest relationship between habituation and recovery to visual stimuli in infancy and child and adult IQ and adult educational attainment. That is, the speed of response to novel stimuli, or the second picture in each novelty problem, predicted IQ scores at ages 3 and 21 and educational attainment at age 21. In the study, infants who recovered more quickly to novel stimuli scored higher on IQ tests at ages 3 and 21 than infants with longer recovery times. They also completed more years of schooling. These findings indicate that the speed of processing attention and recognition memory at a very young age may make long-term contributions to IQ and achievement. And I felt like there were just too many other variables that contributed to their intelligence. And one of the things it said was that those who scored higher were the ones that had more school. So it's like, can you really say that it's based off of, the habituation and recovery with the visual stimuli from the ages of 7 months to 3 years old? I just don't feel like there's a strong enough correlation, but that's just me.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see, where there would be, just so many different variables that could influence that. Just some of the other stuff that we've been learning in these family classes, the family dynamic can change, or affect, a child, and the stressors that are happening in the home that can affect the fact that a child may be colorblind, or, you're right, there are just too many other things that can change that result for some of the children in the study.
Well, and I'm in the 400 class, the theories one, and we're doing the family.
I'm right where you are.
Theory. Yeah, and so is that what you were thinking of when you're talking about that? I was thinking that too. So many factors, because that where they go to school, or where they lived, or how they were raised by their parents. Everything, and even biological, like their genetics.
Right.
So, yeah.
I was thinking that, if they change their purpose for doing these tests and have it be to be able to identify, if there's developmental delays, so that they can, like, if the child isn't processing quickly or recognizing novel stimuli, then be able to determine what things could help speed up that processing. Because, if they're able to attend to this new stimuli, then they're obviously going to be able to learn and understand new material that's presented to them in the world. And so I just feel like if their purpose changed, that it would be in a more effective study than for just simply identifying prediction of IQ. But that's just me.
It's interesting because it's based upon visual stimuli, and you would need to make sure that everybody in your study actually views and perceives things in a very similar manner.
Yeah.
sorry, I'm seeing too many things in my mind. Like, wait, what if you have a child that actually, I mean, maybe nearsighted or farsighted, and that actually changes what they actually see? I mean, there's just some basic things in my mind where I'm like, okay, I could see where there would be some things that would really affect that.
No, that's really good. You ask a lot of questions. That's all about scientific inquiry, right?
Yeah,
You ask questions. So
that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that study.
yeah, no problem.
So how do you guys feel about parents who have put their kids in studies? I mean, I did it.
We don't like them.
No harm came to her. But you know what I mean? Because they talk about that, about getting consent. You know, you have to sign a consent before you do a study. And then if minors do a study, they get the parental consent. But I don't know. It's like, I guess that's your right as a parent to figure out what's best for your child. And maybe a child or a study will help. But do you think that there's parent? I mean, my friend is a loving mother and an awesome, awesome mother. And I don't want you to think she does it all the time. She doesn't. But you know, she'd never put her kids in harm's way. But do you think that there's some parents that do? And they'll just sign their kids up for studies because it's an easy buck.
I think it's based off people's values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because you have certain things. I mean, the one study that comes to mind was actually the one that President Uchtdorf used in his talk with the marshmallows. I don't know if you guys know that one.
Yeah.
I thought stuff like that, I think would be great. It would be great because it could, if some of that information is shared with the parent, you know, it might be a good thing that you can kind of understand a little bit more about your child. But then you also have the study with the stuttering, and of course it's an orphanage, so you don't have children that actually have I want to say concerned parents. I mean, I'm sure they had guardians that were there in the orphanage, but it didn't sound like the guardians were really putting some of their best interests forward, or the guardians didn't understand fully what was going to be happening within the study. But I think that I like what Emily had said. I think it really is based upon values. I think some of the studies may be fun for them to participate in, and I don't think that those are a problem. But I do think as a parent, you really have to take in consideration the emotional and physical well-being of your child and mental well-being of your child when deciding on those things.
Yeah. What do you think, Liza? Would you put your kids in a study?
Well, I think like most people, it would just depend on what the study is.
Yeah.
You know, will it harm them, or will it cause stress? Is it a good fit for the child? So, you know, there's just a lot of things to think about when there's stuff like that. It's not just about the money or just about the results. It's about the child.
Yeah.
I think you make a really good point, because it's like, I think a lot of times there might be parents out there that do put their kids in studies purely for their own selfish motivations. And then there's ones that actually do it because they're thinking of their kids and what's best for their kids. And so I think it just varies, and there can't be really a wrong or right answer to it. I think it just depends and varies from person to person and family to family.
Yeah. So going from kids to animals, there's a good link there. Anyway, because that was the last thing they talked about, and Catherine mentioned it a little bit, but what do you guys feel about that?
Well, I might be cruel, but I think experiments like on rats, I like don't have a problem with it because like in the world they're not going to become extinct, and like, well, let's hope not, kind of. But you know, they're really common, and there's not a huge purpose for them. Like they're not someone's, well, actually some people do love rats, I guess. I was just thinking
Not
about
a pet
comparison
rat.
with dogs. I was like, but I'm fine with rats. But like tigers and other things that could become extinct really easily, I think we should definitely take precautions with those.
You know, it's funny. There's a really old movie with Matthew Broderick and Helen Hunt. I think it's called Project X. He's kind of hired to clean out these cages of these chimpanzees, and I think she actually had taught one of these chimpanzees sign language, and then she lost her funding, and so then this chimpanzee is taken to this facility that is doing these testing on these apes. And as you know, as the story kind of goes through, you find out that the testing, like he starts to realize that the testing involves high levels of radiation. The idea is to find out how long a pilot would be able to actually fly a plane when exposed to radiation. And so it's kind of in the case of nuclear war, how long would a pilot be able to stay on course and drop a bomb if he needed to? And so they would train these chimpanzees first just how to fly. And he thought, oh, you know, this is fine as it goes on. And then he realizes that the ultimate goal is to then, as they've learned how to fly these planes, like on this video game, then to expose them to high levels of radiation, and then knowing that they will die, and then to see how long after they've been exposed to a lethal amount of radiation, how long it then takes them to die. And I mean, I remember as a kid just being like, oh my gosh, these poor animals, and just really being influenced by that. But then also understanding the balance, like that whole thing that we've learned. Like, what is the information being obtained? You know, does that balance out the methods being used? And you start to think, well, you know, the purpose is for us to understand, I guess, the influence of radiation on adults as they're flying planes. I don't know, but I guess that's the kind of thing where you really have to kind of like balance those things out. Who does it help? Is it beneficial? Is it something? I mean, I guess with chimpanzees, it becomes a little bit more powerful, just because you see that they can start to communicate with us through sign language. They have some very similar aspects towards sympathy and feelings that has been discovered. So you start to see it a little bit more differently than maybe a rat or something that's seen more as a menace.
Right.
Do whatever experiments you want on mosquitoes, and I'm fine with that.
I found it shocking. I think Hollywood wants you to think there's more experiments done on chimpanzees and monkeys than you think. It seems like all the movies have monkeys in it, except for the one Spider-Man, they did have a rat. But
True.
I was surprised at how many monkeys they really do have in experiments. Did you see that? Like the percentages and stuff? I thought it was really low. It was like 7% or something like that. I don't remember, but it was really, really low.
I love all the comments that you guys are making, because it makes me wonder what my experience would be. But like, it's just so interesting how far they've come to of trying to protect animal rights and to protect them and to try to put things in place. So I thought it was really interesting how extensive the notes were in the book about, you know, what they're doing now. And this is old. Like this was 2011 when this textbook came out. So who knows where it is now.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Was there anything else anybody wanted to add?
Yeah, I'm doing the summary. So I've been like writing things down, but it asks as well if there are any concerns like in the class. I'm good.
I don't have any.
Nope. Okay.
No, honestly,
Yeah, and then
the only thing I can think of is I love this setup so much better than having to type out the discussion stuff. I feel like there's so much more that you can get from it.
I agree.
I love this. I absolutely love this.
Yeah. I feel really bad because I got on the group discussion board and there's one girl on there. She must not have a group, but it says thoughts of a loner.
Oh.
I thought that's so sad because she really is missing out, I feel, on a group discussion. I feel like you get more out of the group discussions than doing a discussion board all week.
Definitely.
Well, I like that other than typing up the summary, it's done. And from what I understand is some of my friends that are at Rexburg, they said that, you know, when they have their discussions, it's very similar to what we're doing now. And I think it's so much better than writing it out and then having to come back several times to check to see if anybody else has responded and make sure that you get that response in. And I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I agree.
And
Okay.
getting that 100 word count in there as
Oh,
well
yeah.
is a pain.
Did I get 150? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? What if I write this?
I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast. You guys good with that?
Yeah.